While you're doing that, after I tell you the objectives for today's event, I'll turn it over to our fabulous moderator, Ms. Karen Hamilton, who will lead our panelists in the discussion. We'll also have some time for any questions you all may have. So you can drop your questions in the chat at any time, or you can use the raise your hand function and we'll recognize you to ask your question directly. And finally, my co-chair, Ms. Destiny Ross, will wrap things up for us. Next slide, please. HBCU for Life is one of Alpha Kappa Alpha's national targets. Excuse me. And as a two-time HBCU grad, this is a subject that's very personal and extremely important to me. So in the course of today's discussion, we hope to demonstrate the unique identity and culture of HBCUs as seen through the eyes of administrators, faculty, staff, and alumni, and also provide students and parents with guidance and tools for selecting and applying to HBCUs. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Tau Beta Omega member Karen Hamilton for the main event. Take it away, Karen.
Thank you, Erin. Again, my name is Karen Hamilton, and I am a proud graduate of Spelman College, and it is my pleasure to serve as the moderator for today's discussion. I can assure you we have an amazing group of panelists today. Let me start by introducing our awesome panelists. We have Dr. Kent Smith, president of Langston University, Suzanne Wilson Davis, former admissions officer, Spelman College, and a parent of a Morehouse College and Spelman College students. We have Lucretia Jones, who is the director of Alumni Giving, Xavier University of Louisiana, Chauncey Rockmore, who's an alumna of Grambling State University, Dr. Catrice Tolbert, who is a professor of psychology, and unfortunately, Dr. Tolbert will not be joining us today. And we also have Munice, Bruton, who is director of finance and of Southwest College. So like Erin said, I have a series of questions I'm going to ask our panelists today. And if you all have some questions at the end of this Q&A, you'll have an opportunity to ask your questions as well. So why don't we start it off? I'll start with Chauncey. Chauncey, why don't you tell us why you chose the HBCU that you attended and why it's important for students today to consider attending an HBCU?
Well, I chose the Grambling State University, actually because I had a friend that went there and she shared with me like her experience being on the campus, and that's what enticed me to want to go. I think that is very important for the youth today to go to HBCUs because I promise you, for the students that are on here, it is a life-changing experience. And you will not regret it, just being able to be around, people that look like you, that are doing great things. I could just speak for myself. Everyone that I went to college with is doing amazing things right now. And it's just going to be the best experience, you guys can ever have. So that was, why I went to my HBCU. Thank you, Karen.
So, okay, our next question is for, let's see, Dr. Smith. I know that you are the president of an HBCU. Can you share with our audience today your background and what qualifies you or what qualified you to be an HBCU college president?
Well, first of all, good afternoon, and thank you so much for having me. But hats off to Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, especially the Tau Beta Omega chapter for hosting an event like this, because we need more of this. But for me, I had the good fortune to have two parents who attended an HBCU. And so even though they sent me to Catholic schools for most of my life, they said if they were going to help me pay for college, I had to attend an HBCU. And so I applaud them for that. And so it's no secret I went to an HBCU. I went to Southern University, and I am a two-time graduate. Ultimately, I never intended on becoming a university president, in which to me is a testament of what happens at HBCUs. I had an opportunity to get heavily involved as an undergraduate student, and I had the right mentors at the right time who saw that I seemed to have a knack for working with older college students or older students. And a mentor who is still living today, he's 84 years old, is the reason why I went to graduate school and ultimately sought out a career in higher education. And it was his mentorship. So I would say, as the qualifications, one, it's about educational background. I do have a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, a doctorate degree. But even with just having an educational background, you also have to gain experience. And the thing I would say to your students who are on today, experience does not always start after you graduate. You can get a tremendous lens of experience while you are matriculating as a high school student, as a college student, that will help parlay you into a successful career. So those are just some of the few. And to be honest with you, some of it, you have to have a lot of good fortune, because even with the degrees, even with the right mentorship, there are only a limited number of opportunities available. And I feel blessed to have been granted an opportunity to serve at an HBCU.
Awesome. Thank you for that. My next question is for Ms. Davis. Can you share a little bit about, as a parent, what are some things that parents who are considering HBCUs for their students, what are some things that they should take into consideration as they're trying to decide, should my child go to an HBCU or not?
Okay, thank you so very much. First, let me again echo the comments of everyone else. Thank you so much for having me. And I just texted Lisa and said, "Ooh, I'm impressed. You guys got a college president on your panel. That's impressive." So for me, when helping my kids to decide on a college, one of my sons had some struggle. The son that's at Morehouse had struggles in school a little bit. He was a late bloomer, and having gone to Spelman myself, I knew that Morehouse would be the best place for him, because their whole mission is about Black men and uplifting them. And I knew that the brotherhood would help to make him feel more secure as a college student, and to help him feel comfortable in his skin even more, because we are in a northern suburb of Dallas, Texas, where we are not the majority, and they weren't the majority in their school. So that was important to me, that he be around people that were like-minded. And when I was a college admissions advisor, one of the main things I used to tell kids is that the 4 years of college are the most important years of your life. And if you are going to be somewhere for 4 years, growing as an adult, being in an environment where the school was founded with you in mind, you weren't an afterthought. No one had to walk your ancestors in with armed guards to protect you. When the doors of the schools opened, when the doors of Spelman opened, they opened because the reason was to educate Black women. The same for every one of the HBCUs that are on the back on your screen. They were opened for us. And then it's a place of love and comfort. And if you're going to be somewhere, why not be somewhere for 4 years in an ideal environment? Now, not saying that everything is going to be ideal there. It isn't. I mean, it's reality, but you know that the instructors are there for you, and they are there to make sure that you succeed. So that was important to me. And then even when you're choosing the HBCU or any college, because some kids are not going to end up at an HBCU, you need to go to the campus and visualize yourself walking around there. And a lot of parents need to realize that it is while oftentimes we don't want to think that it's the child's decision, the student's decision, it really is, because that's where they're going to be, and they have to be in a place where they're comfortable, for sure.
Thank you for that. Okay, my next question. Miss Jones, what do you enjoy most about working at an HBCU?
I think it feels like home. The students, I've worked at a PWI, and I always, tell my friends, I was like, at the PWI, I was Lucretia. At HBCU, I miss Lucretia. So it's definitely a difference. And so, you know, again, it's not perfect, but it's home, it's family. Students are always coming in my office, just to tell me about their day, even though I serve in an alumni role, but, I'm also the advisor for the pre-alumni council. So that gives me a chance to actually talk to more students, kind of, just see where they are. But I love working at HBCU, just because of just the little things from, the Greek life to, the different state organizations such as the Texas Club, and Fridays they have a DJ on campus, and they have certain days for certain foods. At Xavier, we're in New Orleans, and so there's Gumbo Day, and so it's the little things that you won't get at other schools that I appreciate, just from having experience with PWIs.
Thank you for that question. And Ms. Bruton, can you share with us just some tips about seeking scholarships, the financial aid process? Because I know we may have some rising seniors in the group and also some rising juniors, but can you give us some tips about financial aid and the scholarship search as they're looking into financing college?
Hi, I am Eunice Bruton from Southwest Los Angeles, Southwest College. And at one point, Southwest College was like 80% Black. Now it's a mixture, Black and Latinos. But I do love working in the environment. Now, as far as people seeking financial aid, please go and fill out your FAFSA so that you can at least get the Pell Grant. The Pell Grant you can get if you're Bill Gates. Hold it, let me take that back. Loans, direct loans you can get even if you're Bill Gates. The Pell Grant is dependent upon your income. And for the 2022-23 academic year, the Pell Grant has been raised to $68.95. Pell Grant is there for you, but you must fill out the FAFSA. And to be eligible to get jobs on campus through federal work study, which is a part of financial aid, that also comes from filling out the FAFSA. Now, direct loans, you can get a direct loan to assist with going to school, but we don't really want loans. So go for all the scholarships you can receive. If you go to a school, there's always a scholarship page. Apply for that scholarship. Check with your local churches. I have not been to a Black church yet that did not have a scholarship fund. Check with your churches. Check with your local grocery store. Out here in California, we even have one that you can apply for, one called the zombie apocalypse. As crazy as that is, you talk about what you would do in the event of a zombie apocalypse. And you can win a scholarship for up to $5,000. Go to your local Target, your local Walmart. They have scholarships, but always check your campus's scholarship page because those scholarships are there for you. Typically, people don't run out of scholarship money because students just don't apply.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Are there any questions in the chat? I want to make sure that our audience has a time to ask some of their questions.
Yes.
Sister Sonia, can you go to the questions in the chat, please?
Yes, someone asked a question about if there are any non-academic scholarships.
There's plenty of merits. Well, yes, a merit would be academic scholarship. But yes, there are scholarships that ask things like the Edison Scholarship. Southern well, Southern California Edison, so I'm sure power companies in other places also have scholarships. They have a scholarship that's not based on your GPA at all. They want to know what would you do in your community once you graduate from school. It's just one paragraph, you submit it, and a panel of committee members just select a person who basically answers the question in full about what do they plan to do with the community. There are plenty out there that are not necessarily based on you meeting a certain GPA. There are some that are just tailored to your career to help you get started. There are plenty out there for any type of nursing student. And because STEM majors are so highly impacted now, there are plenty out there that you can get, especially in your first year, because you won't have a GPA then. In your first year, you can apply and get a scholarship. So just in your first year, do all you can to get as much, I call it free money, the money that you don't have to pay back. Get as much free money as you can, especially scholarships, because then your scholarships in your first year are basically to jumpstart you into your education, and they're typically not academically based.
Can I add something, please? So for those of you who are considering the HBCUs, I'm going to drop a link in your chat because there was an article that just came out with information about scholarships that are offered through UNCF and through the Thurgood Marshall Foundation. So UNCF, for those of you who may or may not realize, it is mainly based, it was founded for the private HBCUs. UNCF stands for the United Negro College Fund. And then the Thurgood Marshall Fund mainly is for the state-run or state-funded HBCUs. However, they do give funds to private institutions. My son just received a scholarship from the Thurgood Marshall Fund. Hallelujah. So I'm going to drop that in that link in the chat for those of you, especially the seniors or even juniors, who are considering HBCUs and are looking for it. I highly recommend that you look at and go to UNCF, Thurgood Marshall Fund. And then there's another link called HBCU Connect. It is an organization that not only helps you find scholarships, but also links you with HBCUs in certain fields. And it's not just for students, it's also for graduates as well. So I'll drop that in the chat.
Thank you, Ms. Davis, for that.
Can I chime in on this one as well?
Sure.
Just really quickly, really great information here. And one thing about today's high school students is you're really good at Googling and searching. Use that Google search scholarships. You'd be surprised what's available to you if you go out and look. And the other thing I wanted to mention is please do not wait until you're applying to colleges or until you're accepted to start looking for scholarships. That's too late. Oftentimes students are not looking early enough and they're not looking enough. So please do those two things.
Okay, someone asked a question in a chat about California scholarships. Well, in addition to scholarships, you have to remember we have a lot of emergency money. The HERF funds, Higher Education Emergency Relief Funds. Most colleges are giving out any place from $500 to $1,000 for each academic term. Also in California, there's the Students with Dependents grant where you get $6,000 per academic year if you have a dependent child under the age of 18. There's also the Student Success Grant that if you have at least 15 units, you get an additional $2,000 every term to help with your education. So there's a lot of things out there, but as far as scholarships, primarily you just have to apply because something as your local grocery store will have a scholarship fund. People love to give out scholarship money. There was a brief pause some years ago when it kind of lessened, but now they're back to giving. So all you have to do is apply. And it's your local McDonald's will have a scholarship fund. There are scholarships every place, literally. And always start with your local churches. They typically have scholarships.
Awesome. Thank you for that. We have several questions in the chat. I do want to ask this one. Chauncey, I'm going to direct this question to you. What are some things that an incoming student can expect when attending an HBCU. And I want you to give it from the perspective, because if I remember correctly, you're from Los Angeles. And
Yeah.
so you left LA and went to Louisiana. So if you could talk about that transition, and then, what are some things that incoming freshmen can expect when they step foot on that HBCU campus for the first time away from home?
And I will say I had never, it is definitely great, what a lot of the planets were saying, like, for instance, Miss Davis, like going down there and getting a feel. I was one of the people that I didn't get that at all. I packed up a suitcase and I went down there, and like during welcome week, and that was my first time ever stepping foot in Louisiana. But like a lot of the panelists says, I felt instantly like I was at home. The first week, there's always like a welcome week where, usually that's where your parents bring you, get familiar with the campus. You take care of those things like financial aid. You can get kind of a jump on those things while you're there. And then you'll have a lot of events. And a lot of these events are to get you to get to know the school, learn about the history. And so that first week is just full of a whole bunch of welcome week events. You'll get your dorm room. You'll meet your roommate. You'll find out what the CAF is like, and what, like one of the panelists was saying, there's certain days and we're eating fish on Fridays, and Wednesday we eating chicken. There might be music on Tuesday from, 11 to 12 when there's no classes and things like that. But you're definitely going to you're going to be on a once you step on the campus, everyone is just like you. They're excited. They're happy to be there. And you're going to just feel that, family vibe and that love that everyone is talking about. Of course, like they said, it's not going to be perfect. So I came into some dirt country roads that I'd never seen before, and some potholes and, things like that. But I promise you, like literally my first semester, when it was time to go home for Christmas break, I was like, me and my friends were like, okay, when are we getting back? When is this over? Like, you're going to want to come back. Of course, you're going to have those early 8 a.m. classes. If you're from LA, you're going to get used to the weather changes, because a lot of the HBCUs are on the other side of the world. So we're not used to that humidity and storming randomly. But I would just say expect to experience something something that's life-changing. It's going to be a life-changing experience. I've had people that, like I said, from freshman year, because I see it's a lot of guys on here. Some of the, the hardest guys freshman year, by junior, senior year, we're wearing suits every day with briefcases, so, and that's going to be like the shock that you'll see, and that will really, amaze you and bring that love for the campus, those football games, the band. It's just going to be a whole different culture that, you guys should just embrace, because, it's for you. Like one of the panelists was saying, these schools were created for us. So there's, you're going to automatically feel comfortable. You're going to find your set group of people that you fit in with. Get really cool with your counselor, because there's, those first freshman classes, they're going to seem like, I know for us, we had like convocations. I don't know if every HBCU has that, but these are like assemblies where it's all about HBCU history, but they're at 9 o'clock in the morning. So it's cold. You don't want to be there, but it's just enjoy it. Just embrace it. Definitely scholarships. The Career Center is going to be your friend. Like Mr. Smith was saying, you don't have to get that experience after, freshman year. You can be doing an internship or doing work study in one of the offices there on campus, where you can be getting some type of professional experience, because those 4 years are going to fly by, and you want to be able to get the most out of your experience, socially, emotionally, professionally. And in every way, you're going to be away from your family. So you have to really be independent. The CAF opens at certain times, so you got to eat when you can eat, so it's a lot that I can say, but, just like I said, expect it to be, be open-minded, embrace the experience. And, you guys are really going to enjoy it. I haven't met one person that's been to HBCU, whether they graduated or not, that has not, felt like that was the best decision they ever made in their life. So thank you guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Chauncey. And this is a good segue for a question that Dylan asked. And I'm going to ask this question of Dr. Smith. Is there a place where students can speak to faculty about their classes, in all aspects of their lives once they're on campus?
There is, and it's really a great question. And to be honest with you, I think it's one of the great hallmarks of HBCUs. HBCUs tend to be a place where you have direct access to senior faculty members as freshmen. And at your large research institutions, you typically do not get to interact directly with full professors, typically until almost your junior year. At HBCUs, the moment you arrive, you typically are assigned not only an advisor, but you start building relationships directly with the faculty members. And to be honest with you, it is nothing for a faculty member to put up notes or to tell one of your friends, hey, when you go find Shantae, tell her I need to see her, and I need to see her today. That's that family atmosphere. You can't hide at an HBCU. And in a lot of ways, that's really, really positive. But yes, there are many opportunities for a student to interact with a faculty member, both in the classroom, but outside of the classroom as well. And a lot of students, a great question, because a lot of students don't focus on that. People forget that 80% of a student's matriculation time is actually spent outside the classroom. So what you do when you're not in class absolutely matters. And that's why HBCU environments matter greatly in terms of interacting with the faculty.
Awesome. Awesome. And the next question is Edward. And whomever wants to come off mute and answer this question, Edward wants to become a doctor when he grows up. He's familiar with Meharry Medical College, but what are some other good HBCU medical colleges that he should consider?
Well, in addition to Meharry, Howard University has a medical school. And just recently, Xavier University and Morgan State University, Xavier University in Louisiana and then Morgan State in Maryland, both announced that they will be adding medical schools to their universities. And then Charles Drew.
I was going to say Charles Drew in Southern California recently got a lot of money. And so they're also a medical college that has plenty of resources for doctors going there.
Additionally, Morehouse has a school of medicine. They were listed on the slide at the beginning. I believe that there are 6 total. And Morehouse also has a school of medicine.
Yeah, I can't believe I forgot that. Morehouse School of Medicine, however, is a separate institution from Morehouse College, though.
Okay, we have a question from a parent. And the question is, as a parent, I hear many parents are seeking professional guidance counselors to assist students in preparing to attend college. Do you recommend having a professional guidance counselor? Does it provide any additional advantage?
So as someone, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right. So as someone who used to, I used to be in at college admissions, and then I also used to help kids with applications and mainly their scholarship application. It really kind of depends on the student. If your student is someone who needs to be handheld and needs some motivation and assistance, and because the college admissions process, unfortunately, can be overwhelming. There's a lot to it. And some of those college admissions experts, if you will, can be very helpful. But if you and your son or daughter are good at keeping schedules, or you're good at that, if you think that you can handle it, you don't necessarily need to hire someone, but keep in mind, it will be stressful. There will be times when you and your kid, you want to strangle him or her, and they're going to just want to strangle you too, quite frankly. But you're just going to have to keep the end goal in mind. So those can be helpful, but they're not 100% necessary unless you and your child really, really don't have the structure, because there's a lot of moving parts. And as we discussed already, just the whole scholarship part can be overwhelming, making sure that the FAFSA is filled out, all of that kind of stuff. But just the admissions part alone, it really doesn't, you don't really need someone to help you with that. If your student has problems writing essays, I would make sure that they at least talk to one of their teachers, hopefully a favorite teacher who might be able to assist you with that.
Thank you for that. And then we have one final question, and I love this question. It's about GPA. If a student doesn't have a high GPA, can they still be admitted? And then what can students with lower GPAs do to increase their chances? And Dr. Smith or Ms. Davis or Ms. Bruton, if you want to answer that question. In fact, if all three of you all could weigh in, I think that'd be great to hear from the different perspectives.
Okay, I'm at community college, and that's a very good place to start if you're trying to raise your GPA at a lower cost. You go to community college, and usually the community colleges have some type of articulation agreement with a lot of the state universities. So go to a community college first. Tell your counselor there what you're trying to do. And the counselors love helping you. They will definitely guide you toward improving your education, where some of your classes that you may retake can be replaced with that grade on your transcript, so that your lower grade doesn't necessarily show when you're going for academic renewal. But a counselor would have to guide you through that particular process. But that is a great place to start to raise your GPA to get into the college of your choice.
Ms. Davis, did you want to weigh in?
So there are many of the colleges. I mean, I just was at it's graduation season here in Texas. And I was at a graduation party yesterday, and this young lady got into Hampton University, but apparently her grades may not have been as strong as they needed to be or should have been. But the beauty of an HBCU is, and Dr. Smith, I know, can attest to this, is that they'll take the chance on you. Okay. And so this young lady is going to be at Hampton for, I think, the whole month of June, maybe 6 weeks. And it's like pre-college, if you will. Now, not all of the HBCUs have it, and there are some PWIs that have that as well. So even if you don't have really strong grades, there are HBCUs out there that will have sort of like a precursor to college to get you set and get you prepared for college, so it won't be as overwhelming when you get there if you had some struggles in high school.
Thank you. Dr. Smith, do you want to weigh in on that question, please?
Actually, I totally agree. I noticed one other question that someone asked, I think that's really critical. It seemed to be from a parent who asked, should I be concerned with graduation rates that I see? And I really think that's a very, very good question. And it's a softball question for me as an HBCU president, because quite frankly, I'm alarmed at how some use statistics against HBCUs. The bottom line is that graduating African-American and Hispanic population are amongst the most difficult groups to get to the graduation stage for a myriad of reasons. Typically, we don't start at the same starting line, but we're accountable for getting to the same finish line. That's the first piece. But people typically want to compare an HBCU graduation rate with a PWI, and I believe that's unfair, because if you look at, you're comparing apples to oranges. What you should compare is the African-American graduation rate at a PWI to an African-American graduation rate at an HBCU. And to the parent who asked the question, you might be really shocked at what you see, because PWIs tend to give the one overall graduation rate, and typically they'll tell you, oh, we're graduating 70 or 80%. What they won't tell you is they're probably around the same graduation rates as HBCUs, around 30 to 40% graduation rate. Here in the state of Oklahoma, for instance, University of Oklahoma, A Research One institution where they bring in the highest level of student who's done well in high school, they're only graduating 49% of the African-American students that they bring in. Guess where the students tend to go when they leave PWIs to go and graduate? They tend to go to HBCUs. Guess who doesn't get credit for that student who transfers to them in their graduation rate? It only goes by whether or not the students came in as a freshman. So I would say to the parent, absolutely not. I mean, should you look at it? Yes, because ultimately you want to know that your son and daughter or daughter is going to get a quality education. But ultimately, you want to know for the caliber of student that your son and daughter is, how effective is that particular institution, HBCU or not, to getting that type of student to the graduation stage. And that's why I believe it's unfair to just compare sole graduation rates. And that's what people won't tell you about the statistics.
Awesome. I'm excited. Just the information, the nuggets that were dropped this morning, this afternoon, just a wealth of information. Now I want to turn it over to our participants. Please feel free to come off mute and ask your question. We have a few minutes left.
I have a question, I guess. Not I guess. My question is there anything that incoming freshmen at a HBCU can expect? Like that's the same for everybody?
Who wants to, Dr. Smith or Ms. Rockmore, do you want to answer that question?
Yeah, I mean, I can answer. What do you mean as far as like just your experience, as far as like your classes, the environment? What specifically do you mean?
I meant like your environment.
Well, you can expect to be around an environment, and it's not all Black people at HBCU. Well, at Grambling, we had like some people from over, out of the country, and different things like that. So you're gonna be around a lot of different people coming from different states, different countries. There's gonna be, just people from everywhere that you're gonna expect, especially right now with all eyes on HBCU. I can only imagine what the admission rates look like going into the fall. So it's going to be, you can just expect to be around a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds. And if, like I said, that first week, you're going to be able to, it's going to be a bunch of different events. So you're going to meet, you're going to see all of the freshmen, obviously, because all of the events are geared towards the freshmen. But I might also be able to meet some alumni, because a lot of the alumni, they'll come back and say they're getting their masters and whatnot. So they'll be involved as well. But yeah, you can just expect to meet a lot of your peers, that look like you, that have goals, to graduate college. That can be, a great motivation and encouragement for you. So I hope does that answer your question or?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
I know your cousin Ian, by the way.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, he just went to prom yesterday. Hopefully, I've been trying to get him to go to HBCU, but I don't know if he's gonna do it. But that's awesome. Well, I hope you go. You got to get him to go now. You got to tell him.
I'll talk to him.
All right.
Thank you.
Love it. Dr. Smith, did you want to weigh in on Dylan's question?
Yeah, I was going to say, Dylan, first of all, thanks for the question. Expect to be pushed, expect to be loved, but also come with high expectations of the institution, no matter where you go to school, because you'll find that so much of life is a residual of what your expectations are and what your energy level is. Life gives you quite often what you give out. And so I would just say expect positivity all the way around. If you give it, I think it'll come back to you tenfold at an HBCU.
Thank you.
So I'm just going to say really quickly, I have 4 children. My oldest one went to Georgetown and they had a pretty elaborate orientation program. And then, of course, Spelman and Morehouse had elaborate orientation programs. And then I have another child who was at NYU. I had no idea when I was supposed to leave. we dropped her off. So it wasn't, a big to do. They had a reception for the parents, and that was nice. But one of the things I loved about the HBCUs, and even at Georgetown, quite honestly, was that they did everything I should say, everything they can to make the parents feel welcome and feel comfortable that they're bringing their child to, and trusting their child to that college or university, and then also make the student feel comfortable that they made the choice that they did. So that first week or so, it's going to be weird for you though, because that first week or so is going to be just freshmen. And then when the upperclassmen come on campus, then you're going to be like, whoa, it's not just us anymore. But you will have also formed really strong friendships, hopefully, with the people who, the other freshmen or first year students who were there.
Awesome. And I see there's some really two great questions in the chat. One is, how soon is too soon to get your student visiting an HBCU? Middle school, like what should that look like? And is there anyone in particular one should meet or something we should see? Dr. Smith, do you want to take that question?
Yeah, I just don't want to monopolize. To me, it's never too early to introduce a young person to an HBCU. And in fact, I think far too often we shy away from exposing higher education to even an elementary school student. The more you can envision going to college, and the earlier you can envision it, the more likely you are to attend. I recognize that college or university is not for everybody. But to me, everybody deserves the opportunity if it's something that they would like to have. And sometimes they just don't know that they want to have it or that it's possible. So to me, the earlier, the better.
Mm-hmm. And Ms. Davis, as an admissions officer, from your perspective, is it too early in middle school to start touring HBCUs?
No, absolutely not. I think if you're going to be touring middle school, there may be some kids, elementary school might be a bit much to tour, doing, because it's a lot of walking. But going with HBCU, or I don't know how many HBCU tours you have coming from California, but if you are able to find one, that would be great. Most of the colleges and universities, I can only speak to Spelman, and I think Morehouse does too, will have special days where they invite students to come, usually seniors, to come and spend a day on campus. So it's almost like a day in the life. Also, Spelman has a junior day for kids to come in their junior year to just get them excited about it. The best thing to do, particularly if you don't have any college fairs that come your way, depending on where you live, make a list. Go to, like I said, UNCF or the Thurgood Marshall Foundation, get a list of the HBCUs that are out there and reach out to their admissions offices and get on their mailing list. So when they do have any special days as a junior or a senior, then you will get information directly from the college or the university. And if there is one in particular that you like, go visit them on your own. But also please call the admissions office first. Don't just show up, because the last thing you want is you show up thinking that they're open and they're closed for the day, or they just, whatever the reason is. But if you want to do a tour of, especially in the time of COVID, you want to make an appointment with the admissions office. Just call them ahead of time and just to make that arrangement. And then also ask any questions that you might have. That's what they're there for.
Okay, we're really out of time, but I want to ask this last question because I think it's very important. And this is for Ms. Jones. Is the percentage of alumni giving an indication of the quality of education received at that particular school?
So typically we use the percentage, not necessarily, well, in my office, we use it for funding. And so we ask our alumni to give for us to get more corporate funding, because they basically, if if we're not helping ourselves, why should they help us, basically? And so we use that more or less as for funding purposes more than anything. But as Dr. Smith alluded to, it also goes hand in hand with the percentage in regards to degrees and the rankings as well. So it's unfortunate that, giving also plays a part in the quality of your degree, but that's kind of where we are. And so, I also, I always tell alumni, help, our university stick around. We need your help. We need your help in giving. We need your help in supporting. Give your time, talents, and treasures to help the university. And also, I would be remiss to say that I'm also a graduate of Grambling State University as well. So, working at a HBCU and coming from a HBCU is a really great opportunity and a great experience. But yeah, I tell everybody, we got to give, we got to keep these universities open. A little goes a long way. And I know this is like for students, but for the people that are, just support your HBCU, support an HBCU. If you didn't go to one, support one, because we need all the help we can get.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And that is our last question. I just wanted to say this discussion was amazing. There were lots of nuggets of wisdom. I hope you all were taking notes. I just want to say thank you for all the panelists for participating today. You did not have to on a Sunday afternoon. I know we got a lot going on, but just wanted to say thank you again. It was a rich discussion, and I'm going to pass it over to Sister Destiny.
Thank you, Soror Karen. So one last time, I would like for any students who didn't add their name to add their name to the chat so I can enter you into our drawing. Want to thank you guys so much for participating, asking questions, taking time out of your day to be here with us. So I'm going to share my screen if I don't have any additional names. All right, so we do have 4 $25 gift cards that we're going to be giving away. So the odds are in your favor.
There's one more name.
Okay, one more. Let's see. Get back to. Hold on, I have to stop sharing for a second. The name. Oh, last name.
I believe there's another student on here that I had invited. Jalen, did you put your name into the chat?
Can I just answer a
Oh,
question while
thank you.
you guys are doing that? Because I was trying to type it.
Ask your question.
So there was a Jean asked, what can students do to be competitive for HBCUs and scholarships? I think is what the question was, and I was trying my best to type. So really, a few things I would recommend as you are preparing yourself and preparing your application. First of all, for those of you particularly who are freshmen or heading into high school, as much as you can, take as many of the advanced credit courses that you can in your class, in your high school, because the colleges are going to look at the courses that you're taking. And so I'm not saying you have to take all AP or all honors, but take as many of those that you feel you're comfortable with and have the ability to do well in, okay? So try to make sure that your transcript is very competitive with the courses that you're taking. Participate in school activities. You don't have to be in every organization, but find, your freshman year especially, look around and see which ones you like, and then choose those that you really, really like. If you see there's something missing at your school, you start that club, okay? Third, everyone talks about community service, and yes, community service is important, but don't just every week go to a different place. Find an organization, a nonprofit organization that really speaks to your soul. One of my daughters feels really strongly about food inequities. And so she volunteers at a food bank. And then when she got to Spelman, she's one of the inaugural food studies scholars, and she got money for it, right? So that's very important. And as much as you possibly can, find someone at that school or university to help you, and maybe even write a letter of recommendation when the time comes. Okay.
Thank you so much for sharing. So now that I have all the students, I want to go ahead and start the drawing. We do have 4 $25 gift cards to give out. So our first winner is all right, congratulations. If you could go ahead and put your email in the comments, and we will be sending your gift card to you. All right, next step. All right, Dylan, let's go ahead and put your information in the chat. Thanks for all of your questions this evening. That was great participation.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you for coming. Please put your information in the chat. So we have one more winner. Drum roll. All right. So thank you so much for all of our student participants. We really appreciate you all for coming. And I'm going to throw it back to Sir Aaron.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
I want to make everybody a winner. Any student who participated today, I'm giving $1,000 scholarship to Langston University for each and every one of you. Minimum $1,000.
Wow.
And that's how HBCUs take care of us. That is phenomenal. Thank you.
Okay. Well, yes, thank you for that. I'm a little speechless right now. Okay, so I just want to say again, thank you to all of our panelists. This was fantastic information. We're getting such positive feedback in the chat. People wanting to know how they can get this recording. So thank you all for taking your time. Thank you, students. Thank you, parents. Thank you, all of our guests, for taking time out of your day to be here. We have a survey, so you can let us know what we did right, what we could have done differently. If you could, yeah, there it is. If you could take a photo of the QR code and then complete the survey. It really helps us out. And with that said, I thank you all for coming, and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Have a blessed Sunday and a great week.